Hey, Kyle Hutto here with Blooming Earth Studios. This is going to be the first of many tutorials that we're going to be creating for you. Today we're going to go over an introduction into Photoshop. I'm not going to do much, but just for someone who's never seen Photoshop before, this will be a nice review for you so that you'll know what to do when we get into some later tutorials. So to begin, let's start off by opening up Adobe Photoshop. I'm using Creative Cloud, which is quite nice. If you can afford it, I would recommend it because you do get quite a bit of software for a relatively low price. So once you open it up, you'll have a blank screen, no workspace. So we'll start by coming up here to File, going to New. You'll be presented with this box here. You can do whatever you want. You have various presets. I typically just leave it on paper unless I've got better specifications, but for now this will be fine. Oftentimes we will want to be working at 300 DPI resolution. It's okay to go down to 72 for rapid prototyping, but 300 will give us a really nice resolution. We want to keep square pixels. It will really mess you up if you go into almost any of these other ones. I've never found a purpose for them, so we'll just keep that there. We'll go ahead and change the name of this to tutorial. Press OK, and take a minute, and there we go. So once we have this, this is our workspace. Up here is our main toolbar. Down here is our working toolbar. Over here we can see our layers, color, swatch panel, adjustments and styles. To begin with, once we have here, if you want, this is a portrait, you can always come up here to adjustments under image and coming down to image rotation. You can flip or rotate 90 degrees clockwise, counterclockwise to get into landscape mode. We'll just go ahead and leave this here for now. One of the most important areas that you're going to be looking at is over here. This will be your layers. Oftentimes I find you do not want to work on your background layer. Oftentimes this might not actually be plain white. It might be a image you've imported or something else. But down here you can see we have multiple things: adding a mask, creating fill adjustment layers, creating new groups and new layers. The group and layer are your most important parts. So let's go ahead and click here and create a layer. Here you can see that we've got a new layer which we can toggle on and off. If we want, we can come up here, and right now this is the paintbrush tool. Come up here, select the size. I have a Wacom tablet, which actually allows me to adjust through a little disc. I prefer doing that. Ooh, let's get rid of that. Step backwards in that. We can come up here and choose color black just for a moment. So on our new layer, we can come up here and draw whatever it is that we want. But so let's say we don't like that, or we want to save it for later. We can always come over here and toggle that on and off. Or let's say we do like that, but we don't want something to happen to it. We can lock it. By locking this, we can no longer do anything to it. I'm going to unlock that. It'll be all good. So let's go over an overview of some of these tools. This tool right here is your select tool. It's good for just moving things around, but you can't really create anything with it. This will be your marquee tool. You can do rectangular selection. They've also got elliptical and single row marquees. Got your lasso tool, which is quite useful. I use it a lot. We have polygonal and a magnetic lasso tool. Use this. You can just draw around whatever. You've got that. Come over here and simply cut it out. Let's undo that. So go over the other tools. Let's create a new layer. Turn that one off. And we'll go ahead and make a really nice big object. So we can come up here, take our magnetic, let's go over the polygonal lasso tool. You actually select where it is that you want us to go around. Quite angular. It's a nice tool for different effects. And the magnetic lasso tool is nice for something like this. You can come here and it will follow the high contrast points and allow you to rapidly select the edge of an object. Sometimes messes up a little bit, but it's a pretty good tool. You can move it around. It's pretty good. So we'll deselect that. And then coming down, we have the quick select tool, which you can drag and it will just pick up just the areas that you have gone over. Or if you prefer and you've got a big area like this, it's pretty solid, you can press the magic wand tool and it will select everything that's similar. Using the crop tool, you can adjust size to get a specific area and then end up trimming your composition to exactly what you want. If you notice, there are 9 boxes here created by these 2 lines going vertical and horizontal. It's pretty important to pay attention to this due to the rule of thirds. Typically you don't want to ever stage anything in your composition directly in the center or anything off to the side, so you always tend to want to kind of keep everything around these 4 points if you can. Or if you've got 3 subjects in your composition, you can stage them in the thirds, but either way you typically want to utilize the thirds rather than just smack dab something in the center. The Eyedropper tool is quite nice. It allows you to essentially select a different color. So let's say we're over here on blue, and come over here to the Eyedropper tool, and all of a sudden it'll pick up this, or black, or white, whatever it is. It can be very useful for matching colors that are already existing. The spot healing brush, we'll get into that later on. The paintbrush tool is quite nice. Up here we have a nice little list of various brushes we can go through. Many of these I've downloaded, but you should at least default have the round brushes with different varying hardnesses. The hardness will determine, you can toggle this, and this will be your pressure sensitivity If you have a tablet, that's very useful. The harder you press, the darker the color will be. You could imagine it's a very important tool. We have the clone stamp tool here, which we will go over later on. It's important. Of course, the eraser, that is self-explanatory. The gradient tool, another nice tool. We can come up here, choose various different styles of gradient. This is currently have it on a radial gradient, or I can come over here and choose standard linear gradient. Let's just go ahead and leave that there. Got blur tool, smudge, and sharpen. This, well, we'll go over that in a little bit. The blur tool allows you just to mix two colors next to each other. The sharpen will kind of do the exact opposite, and smudge kind of just pushes color around. Dodge, burn, sponge tool are similar, but they work with color. The pen tool is another very important tool to be utilizing, especially when you're going into more graphic design, trying to create nice smooth curves. This tool in itself could take several tutorials to get used to, but all in all, it's a very nice tool that we can utilize for many different purposes. Oftentimes I like to use it to create a path and stroke it, creating a path of whatever size you want along the path that you just created. Text tool is self-explanatory with all of the necessary editing materials up here. And we have path selection tool, which would select there, or a direct select tool. Considering we don't have much on our screen at the moment to mess with, there's not much to do with it. Then we have an actual smart object creation here, where you can create actual rectangles, circles, various polygons and lines. The hand tool allows you to move yourself around. Because I'm not zoomed in at the moment, it's not as helpful, but when you are zoomed in, it'll allow you to pan your workspace. Oops. Magnifying glass will allow you to go in and out. And over here, it allows you to switch back and forth between two swatches that you have chosen. I do not know why, but Adobe has done something weird in the Creative Cloud. You may notice when I choose a color, it changes the second color as opposed to my primary color, so I have to switch back and forth, but that's only a minor headache. If there is something to fix that, I do not currently know it, but if I find it out, I'll let you all know. We'll go over masks later, so we'll come over here and we can look at our layers. And as now we've got multiple layers here, we can do various different things with them. Come up to edit. There are many different things to do here. You can transform them. There's scale and rotation, all sorts of things. I don't want to do that right now. We can come up to the adjustments, change the brightness and contrast. Maybe a different layer better to do that on. It doesn't want to do it. Okay, well, let's just create a new layer. Come up here and select red, make a big red dot. And now we're going to come up here and just look at brightness and contrast. We can change. Why is that not doing that? Okay, well, we'll get to that later. Anyway, so we can come here. There we go. Alright, so the saturation control is your color. If you turn it all the way down, it'll turn to a black and white photo. All the way up, probably blow out your thing, but you can always adjust that. Lightness, self-explanatory, and the hue actually affects the color. Now, when we are working, let me find it. Where is it? Well, at the moment I can't seem to remember where it is. That's may have been the beginning. Let me find it. I'm looking for the ability to change between RGB and CMYK. These are important enough. You'll always want to work in CMYK when you are working something that will be printed out in ink. If you're working for strictly web, digital purposes, RGB is what you want to do. You typically want to select those in the beginning, otherwise there'll be some problems later on, possibly depending on the colors themselves. Some inks can't match digital colors, but we are currently working in RGB. Now, if you come up here, you can see your swatches. These are typically your swatches are pretty good colors. You don't need to deviate from them that often. If you want to get very specific, you can come up to your colors and really pick where you want on this little area. This is by hue, but I like the swatches unless I need to really go in there. Now, let's say you come over here, and another useful part of this is you have the layers, and then you also have groups. So let's create a group. With the groups, we can come in here, select multiple layers, drop them into that group, close it up, and you can keep this area rather clean, because if you've got a lot of layers, it can start to get very difficult to see what it is. And for that reason, you also want to name your groups, just so you know what they are. And you can always change around the orders of your layers. Whatever is on top is going to be what shows on top. You can move them all around. And over here, this little selector allows you to change the style of your layer. Alright, now we have a normal, but each one of these does various different effects. For the moment, you don't really need to know how they do what they do. They can all have very different effects. If you really want to, I would just play around with them. That's really the best way to figure out everything. Just spend a little time moving around, playing around with all the little selectors. So now that we've got this, let's say you wanted to create some guidelines that you were going to go around. Let's say you want to go by the rule of thirds, like I had said before. You're going to want to grab right here on this little ruler here, drag down. You can place it, say, at the 2-inch mark. But let's say you don't have this. You're going to come up to a window, and up here in window you have all the things that you may need to see. This, I believe, is it's called guides. Sorry, it's not in window, it's in view. It's rulers. Turn that off, it's gone. Come back here, turn on rulers. Now you have the ability to grab your rulers from the side, put them wherever you want. If you don't like where you place them, you can grab them again, move them around. If you want to get rid of them, just drag them back off to the side. Oops, I did not want to move that. There we go. Up here we have just various different things. Here you can change things that you do to the layer. Selection's pretty straightforward. Filter will allow you to do different things. Blur is quite frequently used. Say we want to use Gaussian blur. You can turn it up, down, see what's going to happen to it. Let's just leave it like that. So we've got a little red dot. Yeah, so there's that's about it for the intro to Photoshop. There's not much more to say that we won't go over at a later period of time. I hope this has been of some help to you, and look forward to future tutorials. Please subscribe. There will be a link at the bottom of the video. And well, I guess, oh wait, no, there is one last part. Sorry. So let's say we want to export this. We can always come to File, and we're going to Save As, and here you can save this as the actual file, the .psd, but I'm not going to bother saving it right now because, well, I don't care about this particular piece, but let's say I did. I would save this as the PSD, then I would also come back and save in a different format. And here you have a lot of different formats that you can choose from, depending on what you want. Your most common ones that you're going to want are JPEG, which is a lossy file format, which means that you're going to end up getting data corruption over time the more you have it. But it will give a very sharp image initially. As long as you have the PSD file, creating a JPEG is perfectly fine. Another common used one is a PNG, which I may be wrong, but I believe it is also another lossy. Actually, no, sorry, it is a lossless file format, and also has an alpha channel layer, which is very nice if you are using it in conjunction with a few other things, such as, well, I use it a lot when I'm doing some animation work, creating alpha channels, whatnot. It's very nice. And then the Targa is another one that is, it's got a lot of data storage. It's got, I believe, an alpha channel as well. I'll use it typically for creating textures within Maya, a few other programs. TIFFs are like Targas, but Targas are newer, so I don't really mess with TIFFs anymore. And I honestly couldn't tell you about most of this other stuff here. But yeah, so let's just shoot out a JPEG of that real quick. So here we've got our quality. You don't ever want 0 quality, that's not good. If you really don't need it high quality, 3 is perfectly fine. I'll keep it a low data size, but typically I like just keeping it the highest quality. I want my stuff to look good. So let's press OK, and now it's created, and I'm going to go ahead and quit this. Not going to save. And you can see here, because I told it to go to my desktop, we have our little drawing that we created. Okay, well now this is the official end. I hope this tutorial was helpful to you. Please subscribe. I will see you next time.